92.7 WMAY, Springfield's news and talk.
So a lot of activity at the Illinois State House for lame duck session, and we're bringing you all of the latest. We'll be focusing on this for the rest of the week, really, and a lot of cleanup that's going to be needed with all kinds of bills being passed. But one bill that passed late Friday in the Illinois House dealt with $1.7+ billion of supplemental spending, $800+ million for the rainy day fund, $460 million for hospitals, $400 million for a fund the governor can control to, quote, attract large businesses to Illinois, and so much more. But the measure also increases the pay for not just state executive staff, but also for the governor, lieutenant governor, the attorney general, the treasurer, the comptroller, but also increases the pay for state legislators like state representatives and state senators from around $76,000 to $85,000 or so. Either way, it's a $12,000 jump that they're looking to give themselves, and we heard a lot about this earlier this morning. But here is State Senator L.G. Sims defending the pay raise for legislators.
It makes sure that we invest in making sure that not everyone who is a millionaire or a billionaire or wealthy can afford to serve.
But you had State Rep Senator Darren Bailey. He sounded off on this, not happy about the idea of increased pay for lawmakers.
Teachers, truck drivers, waitresses. Go out to the security guards right now who are protecting us and tell them that you're worth $85,000 and ask them what way they think. Please do that.
What do you think? Are they worth $85,000 for what some consider a part-time job to be a state legislator? And that's just the base pay. So the House and Senate approving this. It's now up to the governor. What do you think? Turning now to Wirepoints President Ted Dabrowski to talk about legislator pay, but also to talk about this $1.7 billion spending bill. What's in it and how's it impacting taxpayers? Ted, thanks for taking time with us this morning. Oh, Ted, I apologize. I had the wrong channel turned up. Go ahead. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
Good to hear. All right, you're coming through. So yeah, $1.7+ billion. At least that's what I was able to just add up. It's $800 million for the rainy day fund, $460 million for hospitals, $400 million for a new fund to attract businesses. What's going on here with all this spending?
Well, the states, not just Illinois, but states across the country. We can talk about that more in a bit, but states across the country are just swimming in cash from all the federal bailout money that's come through. The sales tax revenues are still really high. Inflation, of course, has pushed that higher. So they're swimming in money and they're going to spend it. And I think the most egregious one, of course, is the one you mentioned, which is they're raising their pay $12,000 each. That's massive just by itself. To the I think should be the fourth highest legislative pay in the country, and they don't deserve it. Two, the results of Illinois show that they should be getting pay cuts, if not worse. So I think it's a big slap in the face of Illinois, who are struggling under some of the worst job conditions in the country.
We also have metrics like outbound migration showing that there's fewer people in Illinois. Should that be an indication of whether state lawmakers are doing a good job? I mean, I don't know about you, but I get evaluated every year to see if I'm growing eyes and ears on our work. I get evaluated every year for the story load that I do and so on. What kind of evaluation would you give state lawmakers?
Well, yeah, in the real world, you get evaluated on your sales targets. You're doing a good job. Are you, bringing in more customers, whatever it would be. Here, let's look at it. Credit rating, worst in the nation. Out-migration, second worst in the nation on a percentage basis. Property taxes, first or second highest in the nation. Nothing done about that. Pension debt, highest in the nation. Nothing done about that. Gas taxes doubled. I could go on and on. Crime. Let's talk about crime. The results are pathetic. Everybody should be fired, literally. We would need a new legislature to replace this, and instead, because they control the purse string, they give themselves raises on that. It's fascinating and to So it never happened in the real world, but this is Illinois right now.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the overall spending plan, because it is more than $1.7 billion of supplemental appropriation of taxpayer resources. Hey, we're going to put $800 million into the rainy day fund. That's not bad.
No, I think that's one of the few good things I've heard. We've suffered in going into COVID because we had we almost had zero COVID, rainy day funds. So that's not a bad move. And it's probably a smart move politically, because you can't spend all that money and then not show something that's good for the credit agencies to say, oh, look what we did. So I'm a little skeptical on why they do it, but it's the right thing to do. The bigger thing is really the $400 million that they've created a slush fund for Governor Pritzker to try to attract some big business, like electric vehicles, for example. And we reported how Illinois is just, excuse the language, sucking wind. They cannot attract any new EV investment. It's all going to right-to-work states in other parts of the country. And so maybe this $400 million is being given to him so that he can buy his way into getting somebody to come here.
Wirepoints President Ted Dabrowski with us on WMAY. So that $400 million going into that fund for the governor to try to attract these businesses. Do you know how that money is going to be used? I mean, is it just going to be like tax credits, or is it going to be payouts or help for building facilities or modifying facilities? Yeah. How is this money going to be used exactly?
Yeah, I'm not clear on exactly how it'll be used, but typically, right, it can either be tax incentives, different ways of lowering the bill for some company to do something in Illinois. What's scary about it, from what I understand now, is that this is given to the governor and his development arm. It's outside of the legislature now. They'll use it to try to convince somebody to operate here. And the way it should be done, instead of getting $400 million to a few particular companies, if Governor Pritzker has that money, he should be lowering taxes on all companies, making it easier for every company here in Illinois to thrive and survive, rather than, effectively, to give $400 million to a couple companies, we've had to raise taxes on everybody else. And it's a really unfair way, and we shouldn't give the governor power to pick winners and losers like that, because the government nor the governor are good at that, or should they be doing that.
Governor J.B. Pritzker is going to take the oath of office in a second term for inauguration happening today. I imagine he's already put this messaging out during the campaign for his reelection, but also on Twitter he's putting out about how he's helped balance the budget during his first term. But Pew Charitable Trusts, Ted, recently showed that over 15 years, and I think the numbers they had were just up to fiscal year 2020, but either way, 15 years or so worth of the state overspending tax dollars. Does that indicate a balanced budget?
No, nothing this governor, nothing that Rauner, nothing that Blago and those before him can say about balanced budgets. This is something that's a deep flaw in Illinois, and Governor Pritzker is doing the same thing. They claim they have balanced budgets, but there's a big hole in the budget every single year just on pensions alone, on retiree health care. They say they balance the budget because they get to say they did. But the truth is, when you look at it in any accounting terms, it's always $3 to $4 to $5 billion under budget, and which is why we always have more and more debt the taxpayers are on the hook for. And Pritzker in particular was saved by COVID, by the COVID bailouts. He's done nothing, and the legislature has done nothing to improve our pension problem, our budget problems. The only thing they've done is taken billions and billions of COVID money that's come in through the it's raised income tax receipts, sales tax receipts. So there's a big windfall for the governor, and he gets to act like he's fixed something in Illinois when in fact it's not true at all.
Wirepoints President Ted Dabrowski, tell us where people can find your and your team's research and articles you put out.
Well, we're wirepoints.org, and we have a daily newsletter that we'll gladly send out to you for free. We curate the news and also give you our originals, and you can also find us in social at Wirepoints. And thanks for letting us talk about these problems.
Well, we'll definitely talk about it in the future, no question. Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints, greatly appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks, Craig.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk.